My name is Shirley Self, and I'm here to talk about the vision of William Butler Yeats. On the journey of the soul, I have come to moon phase 13. Now, moon phase 13 is, the moon is still a waxing moon just before the new moon, and it is 154 to 167 degrees past the sun. Now, what that is that's 4 degrees past the inconjunct. And then for the next 13 degrees, that is moon phase 13. So this is a phase of self-judgment. This is the door to the unified mind. Non-essentials cannot pass. So this is a phase of purge. It's one of this rectangle of loss, simplification, and focus. This is more purge, this is more loss, but it is important that 13 learn what is his and what is not. This is a lifetime of discovery of what is essential to him. The subconscious was connected. This two minds, the solar mind and the lunar mind, came together at moon phase 12, and they are focused inward on the capacities of the body, and mostly the capacities of the body-mind to follow an ideal. That ideal was given at moon phase 12, and these phases are very much tied to that ideal, to ideal behavior, ideal clothes, ideal house, ideal mate. So it is the subconscious here in phase 13 that guides the new will into a new reality. Remember that phase 12 spent a lifetime battling its karma and creating, virtually eliminating the past and opening up to a new will, a new desire. And this desire is to become what that vision gave to moon phase 12, to become that person, to become that powerful one, that talented one. This is 3 phases of transformation. They run through Virgo, changing earth, movable earth. So this is a phase that is dominated by the senses. The senses over here are very, very powerful. And that is the body of fate of moon phase 13, is moon phase 3, which is over there in Taurus decadent. The senses have been renewed. The will has been renewed. The senses have been renewed. And they are hungry to taste and touch and feel and look at the world. And they're hungry for knowledge. So moon phase 13 is a phase of sensual delight, which is immediately a moral dilemma. Remember that the body of fate for these people over here brings with it not only the opportunity that is the body of fate for these people over here, opportunity, but also something that they have to fight against, and here in these phases, free themselves from. So the sensual delight can result in overindulgence, and that overindulgence, that Epicureanism, whatever, is going to be a big distraction from their pursuit of their own ideal. And as Yeats said, to quote Yeats, moon phase 13 is capable of the greatest measure of personal or artistic beauty possible to its cycle. So it is important that moon phase 13 hew to the line, and that line is only what the ideal says it is. So this is a power over here of emotional awareness. The solar mind attends to the lunar mind, the subconscious, and is guided by it. But because the emotional awareness is so intense, It's, the key to their own self-knowing. But it also makes them very vulnerable to the emotional environment. And that can cause them to do a thing that 27 can do very easily, and 13 has a difficulty doing, and that is taking on other people's emotional burdens. 27 is a sin eater and takes on other people's burdens and takes on those emotional energies, and in the heart sits in love, and in the heart those energies are transmuted into useful soul energies, transformed into positive light. Anyway, 13, these phases, 13 and 14 especially, are prone to taking on other people's burdens, and unless they know how to do Tonglen. Tonglen is a meditation in which you deliberately sit in the heart of love and pull in the energies, negative energies of others, and sit with those energies in your heart and free them from from negativity, and that's called Tonglen. And it is wise that 13 and 14 learn to do that, because they are so prone to lifting up other people's burdens and hauling them around themselves. These are emotional burdens. This does no good. So because they take on other people's burdens and are prone to just the emotional environment around you, what 13 has to do is achieve emotional independence. He has to qualitatively be able to discern his emotions from those around him. He has to stay firm in his own emotions, because that's essential for him to think upon himself, to reflect upon his own behavior, to parse out the meaning in events and in the world, in facts around him. And all of this work that 13 has to do to separate, differentiate, that's a Virgo word, his character from the environment, that takes a lot of solitude. And 13 is much more capable of seeking out solitude than 12 was. 12 had a hard time with it. So the emotions are guiding the will according to this ideal. And the strength to renounce anything that does not fit that ideal has got to be found over here in the mask, over there in Pisces. In phase 27, knows what to keep and what to let go. And so that is something that 27 can bring, the descendant can bring to the ascendant, the mask can bring to the will here, is an ability and a courage to reject what isn't theirs, what isn't useful. So unfortunately, this is a phase of self-judgment, and they pay a high price for wrong choices that can lead them to self-hatred. They should have a lot of tolerance for other people, but tend to have intolerance about their own behavior. Their emotional guidance, their adherence to an ideal really narrows their choices. Notice that the rectangle is getting smaller and smaller until it comes down to here, where it's very, very small indeed, very focused indeed. So, well, this will simplify the life, narrowing the choices will simplify your life. It also means that then true love, among other things, is really hard to find. True love has to absolutely be perfect for Moon Phase 3, because they're they're busy redefining themselves, and they need a lot of time alone. And they kind of are prone to emotional imbalances, emotional highs and lows, and they need people, a partner that is understanding, that'll help them deal with it and not exacerbate the problem. So what phase 13 has to do is to find somebody around in here. Nope, I knew it would be a cat video any day now. Or here. And that is the best choice for a moon phase 13, because these people have enough, they're not emotionally overwhelmed, and they're not critical, intellectually critical, that they can allow moon phase 13 to be who he is, should he choose the right one anyway. So because moon phase 13 identifies so strongly with the body and its senses, death is a profound issue. Because the world generally doesn't give them what they really want, and they have to be very picky about the world, they can become bitter and cynical, and this helps because they're emotionally vulnerable to the world, make them fearful. They need this spiritual understanding that comes to them from the mask. The mask will help them balance out this emotional vulnerability. They're prone to an intellectual sin. It's called self-loathing, and it can be destructive to their health, as you would expect with a moon phase that's solid in Virgo over there. These people, here and here, can be very hypocritical and dishonest, evasive, cold, capricious, and untrustworthy. And that's when they're out of phase. That's when they're overwhelmed by the world, overwhelmed by the emotional environment around them. They are in or out of phase. They tend to be preoccupied with what's wrong with them, and that a constant comparison that they do between themselves and the ideal that they hold so strongly, it can keep them uneasy and always second-guessing themselves. This purge that is happening here is 12 fought the karmic battle, and it virtually skinned him alive. And what was left was a brand new will, a brand new will. But this will still needs to get rid of all those old habits, those dead issues and attitudes that are no longer appropriate. And that too takes solitude. No more kitty. Go the other way, darling. Yes, they must be emotionally undefiled, or they cannot trust themselves. They have spiritual pride is an affliction from the body of fate over there, and that will work against their loving acceptance of other people. They must judge themselves, not other people. Too much self-judgment can lead to a death wish. Suicides are common amongst this people of this rectangle, because they just refuse to take what isn't appropriate, and if they think that their life is no longer appropriate, they can take action against themselves. The struggle. Now, the will, the solar mind, wants to do what's easy. The solar mind just tends to do that. It wants to do what's easy. It wants to be at service, but that's its higher function. Its lower function is to take it easy and shine and roll around heaven all day. But the emotions, the lunar mind in phase 13, wants him to choose what's perfect. And this is a difficult task. We've got some interesting moon phase 13s, Ansel Adams, Miles Davis, Prince Charles, which I'll show you his chart in a minute, L. Ron Hubbard, Janis Joplin, Karen Carpenter. Janis Joplin and Karen Carpenter both did themselves in interesting ways. And Ernest Hemingway, who also killed himself. And Norman Mailer, who is, I think, still alive. Okay, so let me take a sip of water, and I've lost the cards. I need to fetch the cards. This is the card of 3 and 27, the Empress. She is ruled by Venus. She's the door to understanding, the gate of heaven. She's the pearly gate. She's the mother of light, which means that she's the mother of Tifereth, the sun. Let me show you the Kabbalah. And here is the Empress right up here. 3 and 27 are working here on the same path that Chiron runs back and forth on. This is a double path, meaning that form and the idea of the form continually talk to each other back and forth to bring the consciousness into total understanding. So that's the Empress. She is abundance. And moon phase 13 has an abundance of a talent and ability within himself that needs to be brought out into the world, and that's their job. This is the card of the body of fate, 3, and the creative genius, which is 17. And so in this card, this is an Aquarius card. And what it means is that the higher, excuse me, the higher self drops a lure, a hook. An image, actually, is what has happened, an image of what can be achieved. It's a unique ambition that is given to these people. Experience leading to wisdom. Experience leading to self-reliance. Experience leading to freedom from the past. And here I have Prince Charles. And I'll let you peruse him while I have a sip of water. Now his data, he was born 14 November 1948 at 9:14 p.m. in London, England. And he has, and his body of fate is, can you see, his body of fate is up there in the ninth house at 27 Pisces. His creative genius is down there at 27 Virgo in the 3rd house. And his will is over there at 5 Leo. His ascendant is 5 Leo. And it is ruled by the Sun and Venus and Mars. And Venus and Mars are in mutual reception there. No, I jumped off to Leonard Cohen. That is not. Prince Charles' ascendant is ruled by the Sun, which is ruled by Mars, which is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules this chart. Jupiter is Prince Charles. This is an odd one because usually the midheaven rules the mother. And in this case, the mother gave over control of Prince Charles to the father. Now, Prince Philip is a moon phase 5 of the rectangle of power. And he was not exactly the proper person to be deciding what was best for Prince Charles. Only Prince Charles can decide. And if you'll notice, the midheaven is ruled by Mars, which is ruled by that powerful Jupiter in the 29th degree of Sagittarius. 29th degree of anything. It's a critical degree, and it is, just get out of the way. They know what they're doing, and they will take They will take no detours on their way to what they want. The 29th degree is at the height of its knowledge. Anyway, this is Prince Charles' father at this Jupiter in Sagittarius in this critical degree, and his father decided where he was going to go to school and who he was going to marry. And so this kind of is an example, Charles here, of the difficulty of moon phase 13 in finding a mate, because the mate that Charles's father found for him was Princess Diana, who's a moon phase 18. And a moon phase 18 are often overwhelmed by the emotions, and this is just the wrong environment for Charles. Charles needed somebody around moon phase 3 or moon phase 27, and Camilla happens to be a moon phase 27. So that moon plus up there with the North Node means that he needs to make his own choices according to his own values, and that notice that the Uranus in thinking for himself is in opposition to that Jupiter. It makes it very, very difficult for him. And I'm hoping he's broken free from his father now. His father is old and tired, and maybe leaving him alone. And, oh, I had somebody else here I wanted to show you. This is one of my favorite artists. This is Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen, his data, 21 September 1934 at 4:29 a.m. in Montreal, Canada. Now, like I said, his ascendant is ruled by the Sun, and Venus, which is ruled by Venus, and Venus and Mars are in mutual reception. So it gives them the Sun, Venus, and Mars are ruled the whole chart. And the Venus is exactly conjunct Neptune. Minutes, what is it? 5 minutes off. Exactly conjunct Neptune. He had also a little trouble finding a partner. While he was meditating up on Mount Shasta, notice the South Node and the Mars over there in the house of meditating over on Mount Shasta. And while he was doing that, his manager stole all his money, and it looks to me like went to Fiji. I mean, the moon over there of the open theft is, the open enemy, is in Pisces. And so went to some beautiful place and was never heard from again. Anyway, this meant that Leonard Cohen had to tour and work into his 80s. He recently died. I think he might have been 82. And his last album was absolutely amazing. The music was, as usual, incredibly wonderful, and not a lot of sex in it, which is odd for Leonard, but he did talk about, I'm out of here, and he was. Mostly his music is about sex. The Pisces is on the 8th house, and that is sacred sex. He's got, his ascendant is septile to Jupiter. And I thought that was interesting. The septile, as you know, is something that you build something that lasts on into the future and affects the culture, the society. And Leonard Cohen is the author of Hallelujah, the favorite song for funerals, ice skaters, and anybody that wants to make me happy. So that's Leonard Cohen. Moon phase 13. Beautiful, talented people. And they have limited focus into this world. They're very much guided by their own ideal. They're creating a life, to their own ideal, and it is, like I said, limiting. But such talent, as Yeats said, some of the most creative people you will find at moon phase 13 and moon phase 17, which is their creative genius. So next I will jump on to moon phase 14. And moon phase 14, I keep looking over there and it's not there. Moon phase 14 is virtually a phase of perfection before, ta-da, the grand opening at the moon phase 15, the full moon, which is the phase of beauty. So Donald Trump and I are working on perfection. We're trying to separate ourselves to become, as moon phase 13 was working to become emotionally independent, Donald and I are working to become intellectually independent. And so until I see you again, may many blessings flow to you. Bye-bye.